confidence back, yeah, yeah, yeah. Confidence back, yeah, yeah, yeah. This little baby bounce back. If you do anything today, stay lit. Do not let them take the light about you. Hey y'all, it's Auda, and I am coming to y'all with another Auda Speaks. Today we are going to be talking about what all the girlies been talking about, which is getting your spark back. And if you are not new here, do you know that this channel started out as It's All the Way Lit? And a lot of people probably took that as, being lively, high energy, But for me, it was part of that, and also it was part of, my mom told me something, as I grew up, is don't let people take your joy. Don't let people steal your joy. And so that was another part of the message, is to keep your spark, stay lit, and don't let people take the light out you. And that light is your vigor, your energy, but also what makes you who you are, your drive, your motivation. And a lot of times people take your light about you. It's like you go through things, people rob you of certain things if you allow them to, and then it's like you're a totally different person. There's people who they'll go into a relationship, they look good, they look healthy, and they come out of it and they look wild, or they don't have that same exuberance that they used to, and it's a reason for that. There are people who are energy leechers, and they will rob you of every bit of your energy if you let them. And so things like relationship dynamics, circumstances, and even our own expectations can make us slip into a dimmer version of ourselves. And that's the same with shame, guilt, rumination of the past, or self-loathing, things like that. These are things that could cause us not to be the fullest version of ourselves and who we're called to be. And it could be a slippery slope for real. It could quickly land us in a place where it's like we don't know who we are, and suddenly we feel like we are robbed of our spark. And you hear it often, like I was mentioning with the breakups. You hear it often with losing a job, or even women postpartum. And for the general population, financial issues, things like that, whatever it may be, these things can make us shrink into a smaller vibration of our being. And so not letting people take the light about you is a very serious thing, I feel like. And it's something that I thought about, with that previous version of my channel, about just staying lit, whatever you go through in life, just keeping yourself in that energy of, I'm going to be me, and I'm going to get through it, and I'm not going to allow people's bad energy to get into mine. Keeping your energy up, keeping your joy up when them weapons start forming. And I feel like as I've gotten older, just into more further deeper in the trenches of adulthood and life, it's like, for me, I find myself in moments where I'm like, okay, I'm taking it too serious. Like, you taking it too serious. So it's like you got to nip yourself in the bud sometime and be like, you know what, this really ain't that serious. Like telling yourself it's going to work out. Don't worry about it. In the grand scheme of things, it's not that serious, So you got to keep your light. And when plots of darkness start trying to rise up and prevail over you, and when people seek to do you harm, and even when you think about people who are like bullied, things like that, there is a light that those bullies can see that they want to snatch away. And that's the same when we think about narcissists and toxic people and just agents of the darkness, agents of the enemy. It's like there's a light that they don't have, that they're seeking to devour. And it's like, when really you could have it if you would stop operating in darkness for real. But, to speak on that, it's like they want you to turn into a ball of shame. They want you to morph into a ball of shame, a ball of sadness, a ball of depression, a ball of darkness too, like them. And so there's been times for me where I felt like this, like I had to get back to center. Like I had to pray, I had to journal, I had to treat myself with care, and like, not what I've been through. Treat myself with care and not what I've been through. And to stay lit, I had to seek the light source. I had to talk to God. I had to drink my water with added electrolytes and mind my business. I had to stop hurting myself by being in unforgiveness and think it's going to hurt the other person. Because that's something we do too. Like, we think, okay, if I have this grudge against this person because they hurt me, or I have this grudge against whoever or whatever you feel like the situation is that did you wrong, we feel like that's going to one up the person and give them a dig. And so at the end of the day, you end up hurting yourself. You end up having the bullet becomes pointed at you. And so it's not just about the outer. When we talk about getting your spark back, it's about that inner for real. Because I feel like that's what everybody made it about. Is getting your spark back is about your outer and this and that. And it's cool because for some people it is, like when we talk about situations of people getting in depression and people going through postpartum and all of these things, it's like, yeah, it was in a physical sense too, but it's purely that the outer ain't gonna be straight until the inner is straight. And so that's what it's about when we talk about keeping your light and getting your spark back. It's about that inner work. Focus on that inner, the outer is going to automatically glow. Like, that's just how it is. And so you want to remember, when these weapons form, not letting them prosper and not letting them cause you to turn into something like what we was talking about in the trauma episode, turning into someone that's you've become out of pain and identity that was made out of pain and identity that was made out of unforgiveness. Because sometimes we form identities out of unforgiveness and we feel like, we have to spin the block and we have to issue the justice or whatever, or issue the revenge. But at the end of the day, when we dim ourselves and we turn ourselves into somebody that we're not because we feel like we have to mitigate a situation, it at the end of the day causes us to be cut short. Like, we're at the end of the day leaving this situation short. You're short on your morals, you're short on your value, you're short on your energy. And you got to remember, like I was mentioning at the beginning, like, it's energy leechers. So when you put all that energy into something or someone or a situation that's sent as an agent of darkness or an agent of the enemy, and you cut your energy short to deal with that, you're giving them that energy that they're seeking. That's the source they need. That's your light that they're trying to take. So, y'all, it's deeper than we think. You got to remember that. Your energy is expensive. Your gifts are expensive. And so we just have to remember that. We have to keep our light, not letting life situations, people, even past mistakes, because sometimes we dwell on mistakes that we've made, and those mistakes that we dwell on cause us to also lose our own spark. Like, we draining our own spark because we stuck in things that we done did eons ago, or years ago. It's like, you have to remember that you living this life for the first time. Like, everybody's living this life for the very first time. And so, with that is wisdom. When you go through these situations, the biggest thing that you can do is not make the same mistake again. So that's a part of it too, is not draining your own spark, not causing your own light to go dim because you keep putting so much on yourself, putting so much weight on yourself, putting so much unforgiveness on yourself. Okay, because that's the real tea. For some people, other people can do stuff to you all day, but when it comes to you and the mistakes that you make against yourself, you can't forgive that. And that's dimming your spark also. So that's one thing to really keep in mind as we move through life, as we grow, as we live in this life for the first time, learning from the mistakes, moving on and leaving them in the past and not continuing to dwell on them, because that's going to also drain us from being able to be present in what we could be walking into. And you hear this saying often that misery loves company. You hear that a lot, and it's really true. And so you also have to understand, even, when you're on the job and you're out and about in life, people that are doing wrong things to you, or it almost seems like they're coming at you out of left field and you ain't did nothing to them, that's stuff that you could see right there is in a plot. And you got to be ahead of the plot. Once you're ahead of the plot, then you can peep game and you can move different and be like, you know what? Yeah, you're somebody who's trying to do a thing. The biggest thing that you can do is give them less of that energy that they're trying to give you. So, yeah, not letting people take your spark, not letting people take the light about you, and just moving in a way that's going to continue to protect the energy that you have and the gifts that you have. So, yeah. Somebody needed to hear this. For real. But, yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. Subscribe, share it with somebody who you feel like may resonate with this. And I will see y'all in the next one.